Hello everyone, I'm back today for a new video in Wild Hearthstone. The deck that I'm going to show you today is not a very common deck. It's not really one of the decks that you're going to see very much when you'll be playing Wild Hearthstone, especially not in the highest ranks. It's a special form of control warrior. Now, when I say special, it's because it's a deck list that I've technically invented myself. Of course, it's not really 100% my invention because it's based on lots of other control warrior decks, even on standard elements from it. But in its essence, the deck list has been completely created by me and seems to work pretty well actually. Since I've got a win rate of I think 55 or 56% in rank 5 with it for the moment. So I'm going to show you how it is, what it is, how it works, and everything you need to know, as well as some gameplay as usual. So let me show you. In itself, is just a normal control warrior deck. As we all know, Control Warrior, as any control deck, tries to get as much value as possible out of the late game. Tries to go to fatigue basically. With defensive tools, which allow it to defend itself against a wide range of decks. And then once those decks run out of steam or are simply outplayed, well, then in the late game and especially in fatigue, you get the advantage because you want to have more cards into your deck, and well, you basically win through fatigue. That's a very basic concept of most control decks. Now, this list runs Shield Slam, which is a very normal defensive tool into any Control Warrior deck. Town Crier to draw some of our rush minions, which are very good for defense as well. We've got Militia Commander and we've got Celiax, which is an amazing card because it heals, it has rush, it has divine shield, it has taunt, basically has everything. And so those two cards we're going to be able to draw with Town Crier if we need them. As executes to take on big minions, Warpath to take on very big boards of small minions, especially against, for example, Zoo Warlock or Token Druid. Weapons Project to destroy any potential weapons for our opponents. And also to give ourselves more armor, especially good in critical situations. Can also work well with a shield slam or a reckless flurry. Also, we can play Weapons Project into a Gluttonous Ooze, which is great for defense as well because it gives us armor, destroys the opponent's weapon. Coldlight Oracle, which is going to be very good to mill both decks. So we're going to be able to draw cards on our behalf, which is normally good for us. And we're going to be able to draw cards for our opponent, which is going to bring both players closer to fatigue, which will be in our favor. As you'll see, that's how the deck works. Also, we could try to burn some of our opponent's cards in some cases with Call-Out Oracles, so they're also pretty good cards. Reckless Flurry is also great for defense, but of course it can only be used once because it takes away all your armor. Shield Block for card draw and armor. Blood Razor, which is also very good against small boards. Hecklebot, which is a good taunt minion and which sometimes can also disrupt opponents' combos. However, you have to play it with care, of course. Militia Commander for Rush. Omega Devastator, which is an awesome card, I think, because you get to deal 10 damage once you reach turn 10. So basically, once you reach turn 10, you can take on almost every single big minion there is. Brawls for Boar Clears, Direhorn Hatchlings, which are generally just good cards. They have taunt, they shuffle a strong taunt minion to your deck, which also increases your deck in size, so that's always good. Dinomatic for defense against smaller decks, especially non-mech decks, of course. Super Collider is also a great defensive tool. All of these are very commonly seen in Control Warrior decks because they're just the best defensive warrior tools there are, and they generally allow you to survive a whole game against even the most aggressive decks. But I'm still showing them one by one. Justicar True Heart, which is also very good because it allows you to get an upgraded hero power, allowing you to get 4 armor every turn rather than 2. So instead of just playing Odd Warrior, you're playing non-odd warrior with Justicar to be able to sooner or later have the same hero power. Of course, the sooner you get her, the sooner you get the hero power, the better. And then these are two of the cards which define this deck as being a little bit particular. Most control warrior decks are either played, as I said, under odd forms because they simply get you more armor, or they're also often played with Dead Man's Hands, which allow you to shuffle cards into your deck, and with lots of bomb tools often as well, like shuffle bombs in your opponent's deck to make them draw them and to make them take lots of phase damage. But my version is not really like that. I'm running Hakkar the Soulflayer, which is one of my all-time favorite Hearthstone cards because it's so unique. And what Hakkar does, it shuffles a Corrupted Blood into each player's deck. And when you're playing this deck, you'll see that the Corrupted Bloods are actually really great. Once your opponent draws one, or once you draw one, you take 3 damage, and it shuffles 2 new Corrupted Bloods into the player who drew his deck, and thus at a certain point, the more the player draws Corrupted Bloods, the more he's going to have Corrupted Bloods into his deck, and the more he's going to draw Corrupted Bloods. So basically it's a vicious circle, and after a few turns normally, especially if your opponent doesn't have many cards into his deck anymore, he's just going to take Corrupted Blood after Corrupted Blood and very quickly die from all that damage he'll be receiving. Now you might wonder, well, you have the Corrupted Bloods into your deck as well, so that means you're also prone to getting lots of phase damage sooner or later, but that issue is fixed with Archivist Elysiana, a new card from Rise of the Shadows, which sees a lot of play in Standard because it's basically a core card for classical control warrior decks. And so I've decided to add it in Wild 2 because it's actually great along with Hakkar, because once you run out of cards in your deck and well, you have 1 or 2 Corrupted Bloods or more inside that deck, then you just play Archivist Elysiana, and she replaces your deck with 10 cards, 5 of which you discover and which are then duplicated. So basically, since the deck has been replaced, you don't have any more Corrupted Bloods inside it anymore, and that means that only your opponent can draw them, and that of course gives you a very great advantage because you are basically safe until Fatigue comes along. But of course Fatigue takes time to build up, so even if 10 turns later you start getting Fatigue damage, your opponent will already be getting a lot more from his Corrupted Bloods, I can assure you, and that's a very great way to win the game. A lot faster than many control warrior decks do. Now, of course, you might wonder what's the combo then, because when you just play Hakkar the Soulflayer, you don't have the guarantee that you're going to be able to shuffle the bloods into each player's decks. For the same price, your opponent silences your Hakkar, and well, you don't have him anymore. At least you don't have his effect anymore. But that's okay. Because not many wild decks run silence these days, as I've seen. Actually, since I've started playing it, and I've certainly already played 30 games with this deck, maybe more, I've never had my Hakkar being silenced even once, which goes to tell. I've always been able to get the blood safely inside each player's decks, and even if your opponent does silence Hakkar, so in the rare cases that happens, then you're just going to try and win in typical control fashion, which means by outlasting your opponent in fatigue. And of course, Archivist Elysiana is once again very important for that purpose, because you're going to be able to get 10 fresh new cards into your deck once you run out of cards, and that means your opponent's going to have to, well, last 10 turns longer than you in fatigue, theoretically. Of course, it might be a little bit less because you draw a lot of cards on the way, but the point is, you're normally with Archivist Elysiana going to be able to get the fatigue advantage anyway, whether you get the Corrupted Bloods into your opponent's deck or not. But the thing with the Corrupted Bloods is that it's usually finishes the game a lot quicker, and also gives the opponent less resources, less counterplay, because of the aggressive nature of the Bloods, which are bound to cause him problems a lot faster than usual fatigue does. Also, notice the very great synergy between Core Light Oracles and the Corrupted Bloods. If, for example, you've just shuffled a Blood into your opponent's deck, into your opponent's empty deck, let's say, and you have a Core Light Oracle into your hand, and you can just play Core Light Oracle the turn after, of course. You can't play anything the same turn as Hakkar, but Core Light Oracle the turn after, and make him draw, one blood, basically. Then he shuffles back into the bloods back into his deck, and then he draws 2 new bloods because of the second card draw. And then he shuffles 4 bloods back into his deck, and then when you end your turn, he draws 4 new bloods. So he basically takes an insane amount of damage just because you just played Core Light Oracle. That's why I really love this deck, and why I think it's one of the, I wouldn't say the best control warrior decks, but definitely one of the most fun control warrior decks. So without further ado, let me show you all this in practice, and I hope you enjoy this video. Okay, so here we are for the first battle, playing a priest. You might notice that I've turned off the volume, the game volume, for this video, because I have lots of problems to make myself understood when the volume is on, even at the lowest of volumes. So I'm just leaving it on for this game, for this video, and probably for the next ones until I can figure out the problem. Anyway, priest usually means big priests. They're all over the ladder in Wild, and that means we need some good removal, like Shield Slam, which is good. I'm also keeping Justicar because she's great for the hero power, the augmented hero power, and Shield Block is always a good card to have into your hand, like literally against almost any deck. So I think we can keep the whole starting hand. Now we get a Town Crier, never hurts to play him. Get a Rush Minion, Militia Commander, which can deal 5 damage the turn she's played. And, this guy's definitely a big priest because he's doing nothing for the moment, which is what big priests do. They normally only get active on turn 4, but once they do get active, it's very hard to... Oh, okay. I take back literally everything I've said. This is not a big priest, since big priests don't run loot hoarders. Yeah, I think it's probably more of a deathrattle priest. And since he wants to draw, it wouldn't amaze me he's got some kind of combo like Mechathune. So we have to watch out. Combo decks like Mechathune are pretty annoying. But, and this is another one of the advantages of playing Hakkar rather than not in Control Warrior, is that, again, you have a lot more winning chances against Mechathune decks or other combo decks which focus on card draw, because Mechathune can't activate when, its Deathrattle can't be effective when there's Corrupted Bloods inside the player's deck. So, yeah. So that means if you get the Corrupted Bloods into your opponent's deck and that he's playing Mechathune, you're generally just winning by force. But you need to be able to get Corrupted Bloods. Now this Dirty Rat really helps us. We just got Hakkar out for free. So that means the Corrupted Bloods are going to get inside the player's decks really soon, which is a good thing. Now I'm wondering if I should kill my Hakkar immediately. I think it's the safest option, just to immediately kill it. And that should throw a spanner inside my opponent's wheels, because he's, if he wants to draw cards, he's not going to appreciate having the Bloods. Of course, it's a bit risky for us because we don't have Archivist Tiliciana into our hand yet, so we can only replace our deck. Oh, this is great. He's already drawing the bloods right now, which means he's already got 2 bloods into his deck as we speak. Okay, we've been extremely lucky, guys. He resigns, yes. Okay, this is one of the most amazing lucky battles I've ever had. Firstly, he gets our Hakkar out on turn 4 for free for us, and then he just casually goes on to draw the bloods like really fast. I mean, we were really lucky. This is not the case in every game, of course, but it just goes to highlight how good Hakkar can be, even though it's not really seen as a very good card in general. But I think Hakkar is slightly underrated by the Hearthstone community, and I hope I can prove it again in the next game. And here we go for our second game, again facing a priest. This time it's probably a big priest, because they're simply the most played kind of priests in the meta. Don't really need Super Collider right away, I think. Although, of course, it's good against big minions, but I'd rather give priority to other cards. I'm still keeping Justicar for the hero power, and I don't think I need Gluttonous Ooze, because big priests, or any priest actually, normally don't play any weapons. So let's see what we get instead. And once again, it's a pretty decent starting hand with Militia Commander and Shield Block. Okay, so once again, I'm mistaken. It's not a big priest. I think it's some kind of combo priest. You know, the kind of priests that like to buff their minions' health, and then use that 1-cost spell that. Well, you know the kind, right? The priests that buff their minions' health. Then play that 1-cost spell that sets their minions' health at the same as their attacks, and then they get like really big minions very quickly. I think it's that kind of priest. So we have to watch out. Anyway, the Death Lord is not that much of a problem, especially not if we kill it, because once again, if he manages to get Hakkar out of our deck, that would be great. I'm just going to damage him a little already. Maybe we can execute him next turn. I don't think it's such a waste of an execute if it's played on a minion which has spell damage +1 and huge stats and taunt. By the way, the spell damage +1 makes me think he might also be playing some kind of 1-turn kill Malagos priests. I know those exist, and those with Velen, they try to get lots of phase damage at some point. I don't really know the mechanics of the deck that well, but I know they exist, and I know that they play more or less in that way. Okay, I think I'm going to Super Collider now. I don't think there's anything better. I'd like to get rid of the Cleric, so let's do that. Also, execute once again becomes an option if he doesn't heal his Death Lord. We mustn't forget we also got Justicar, but I don't think I'm going to play her that soon anyway, because I've got the board to handle with before being able to play her. Of course, what you can always do is play her on turn 8 and then be able to play the augmented hero power straight away. Alright, we're getting some damage. I don't think it's that bad yet. And I think I'm definitely going to execute that Death Lord over there. Okay, Hecklebot. That's actually not bad because it's a good taunt minion, so I don't think we can complain. I mean, the risk is always to get Archivist Elysiana out of your deck, pulled out of your deck, but usually it's not that big of a deal because, after all, it is a strong minion. And since my opponent here is definitely focusing on drawing as well, we probably won't be needing Archivist Elysiana this game. As you can see, he's drawing. So yes, he definitely wants to do some kind of late game combo of some sort, but I don't really know exactly what right now yet. I guess I'll be doing this again, playing Dynomatic, and just getting more armor. Okay, Dynomatic is not the best card we pulled out of your deck, but well, a card's a card after all. A minion's a minion. I don't think we should complain. And next turn, I think it'll be Justicar time. Because we've got a decent board right now compared to his, which is good for defense, and Justicar, well, she'll be playable, I think. Okay, that does change the situation a little. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play Justicar. I'm going to Weapons Project to get more armor and to kill that minion. I don't think we're in danger just yet. And now we have the augmented hero power, so we can get 4 armor every turn if we want to. So that's good. Also, Gluttonous Ooze is coming to rid him of the weapon we gave him. I think we're doing pretty good, but you never know against combo decks like that, of course. Now I'm wondering, should I hero power or... I think I'm going to Direhorn Hatchling because it's just a lot more value than the hero power. But I don't think... oh, okay. Okay, now this is really surprising. I don't understand why he did that. I was probably just a bad matchup for him. I still don't know exactly what he was playing, but I think he was focusing on some kind of very aggressive late game combo, probably involving spell damage and Malygos and Velen. And he saw that I'm just the kind of guy who likes to tank up on armor, who likes to defend, who's got nice removal tools, and well, maybe that just prompted him to concede. Although, in my opinion, far too soon. But well, we're not going to complain about a win anyway. And let's go on to the next battle. Alright, and here we go for the final battle of this video. It's going to be a lot shorter than I imagined, I think, except if this battle goes on and on. But since we're playing a paladin, I don't think that's going to be the case because they're mostly very aggressive players who like to swarm the board with 1/1 minions. So we're definitely keeping the warpath. We're throwing away the hatchling, but we're keeping Dynomatic and Justicar. Dynomatic for obvious reasons, to defend against small minions, and Justicar because she's always good for a starting hand. Now, we also have a Hacklebot, yeah, so he's playing Odd Paladin, which, just like even Paladin before it, is just very aggressive, focusing on getting all these recruits in the game and then buffing them. So yeah, definitely a deck to watch out for, and it's just going to be defending for us, at least for the first 5, 6, maybe 21st turns. But if we defend successfully, he'll run out of steam and we'll win, so that's what it's going to depend on. Anyway, Hecklebot is usually pretty good against this kind of deck because they don't really have large minions into their decks normally. They mostly have minions which buff the recruits, so those minions are no good to them once their battle cry is well, not put in use. And the Hakkar button itself, of course, provides very good taunt and very good stats for its taunt, so it's not a bad card to have right now. I'm not warpathing immediately because I don't think killing 4 recruits is really worth it right now, especially since he's only got 3 mana. Now, this Warhorse Trainer could be annoying though. So what'll it be? I could still Warpath, but I still don't think it's really worth it. Of course, if I don't Warpath, I'm just letting all his minions live. That's 10 guaranteed damage I'll be taking. So that's quite a lot. But of course, he probably doesn't have enough to getting the extra damage. So I'm going to take the risk and just let him play a few more minions so I can get rid of them all in one go, if possible, with either Brawl or Warpath. And I think it's going to be Brawl because Warpath is not going to get rid of the Righteous Protector or the Warhorse Trainer. So yes, Brawl with the coin, of course. Pretty much forced right now, I guess. So we're in danger. Not going to hide the facts, but I think we can make it if he doesn't go all in. If he doesn't have the cards to go all in the next few turns. Of course, his deck is always focusing on going all in, so I shouldn't be relying on that. But well, maybe we can survive. Oh, he didn't attack my hero. I thought he would. No, I can. No, I can draw one of my rush minions. That probably means I would draw, well, Militia Commander or Zeliax. If I get Zeliax, however, it's pretty bad because I can't play him immediately. If I get Militia Commander, it's pretty cool because I can kill this Steward of Darkshire. So of course I'll be taking a risk, but anyway, I'm already at risk right now. So what I'm going to do, I could also play Dynomatic though. I mean, he's got a total of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 health. Perhaps Dynomatic is still the smartest choice. What I could also play is Tankra, if I get Zeliax, simply Hekobot. I do have to make a decision, so I think it's going to be Dynomatic. See what happens. Seemed like the safest option to me. And we got a pretty good Dynomatic here. We killed all his recruits, but we're still in danger. Oh, he says well played. Does that mean he's got lethal? No, I don't think so. He just played this Quartermaster without buffing any hand recruits, which is pretty strange. Maybe he just didn't expect them all to die and he played a bit too fast. I don't know. Anyway, it can't be a bad play in itself because it's just a minion, which is an extra minion to threaten me. And now I need to survive. So this time I'm drawing a rush minion, and this time it's a bad one. I would have preferred Zeliax a lot more. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to simply play the Militia Commander, tag this guy, kill this guy, and hope to survive next turn. Okay, so I didn't survive next turn. Well played. Well, that's the thing with aggro decks anyway. When you're playing an aggro deck, either you defend successfully in the early turns and you win, or you don't get enough resources to do so, such as happened here, and you lose. So it's always 50-50 with aggro decks. Anyway, this was the last battle of the video. As I said, it's a lot shorter than I thought it would be because all 3 battles were over pretty soon. Well, normally, well, with control decks, you always get a few very long games, of course, especially if your opponent is playing very slow decks as well. So, well, I'm not going to complain about the length of the video, which might be a bit shorter. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you will might give the deck a try, or at least acknowledge its existence, acknowledge Hakkar the Soulflayer's existence in the game, because I think it's a really great card. And I hope to see you for the next video in 2-3 weeks. Goodbye.